Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeff.
Quiet.
Now, Chad didn't realize I was going live, so he's still talking to me. But hey, it's Thursday night. It's Jeff and Chad. We just finished up Mastery Chat, and Todd basically broke Twitter. I mean, there was like I don't know, what was it, maybe 5-10 minute period where neither one of us could get on. Ray said she was fine. She was okay. It looked like a lot of other people were okay. They were in there. I know Jeff Kaplan made a joke about it, so apparently he got some of it too. But I was getting like 6 different errors from Twitter, and then eventually it was just like, "Hey, Twitter's at capacity. Sorry." So, so I couldn't do anything. So I'm gonna take that as it was a good chat. That's what I'm gonna choose to see that as. So, Chad, I know you had the same errors and stuff like that, but outside of that, how was the chat for you? What are you feeling?
It was great. As I said a little bit during the pre-chat, I think this was a really great topic for right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have teachers that are about to leave school, have already left school, or need that little bit of energy to make it through the last month or 20 days or 10 days or 15 days of that school year. So I loved sharing all like some of the positivity. And I also love the fact that, Sparks in the Dark's about like growing a love of reading in students, but like if the idea of sparking anything is such a transcendent thing. And a lot of the conversations ended up being around like, how do you spark yourself? Like, how do you keep yourself healthy and going and doing well, which you and I have been focusing a ton on, for the last 12 months or so. So that was really cool for me to kind of get into that. And there was also like, how do we show gratitude, which was one of my favorite questions. So it was a lot of just sort of self-reflection and conversations that were about just, like keeping yourself, even keel and good and motivated and inspired, which I love. I mean, it was good. It's all good stuff.
Yeah, it was outside of the time that I was kind of like kicked off Twitter, basically, it was a great chat. So I took a lot of screenshots because I do that. I think I like just kind of recapping some of the things because we don't always see the same tweets and stuff. So I'm going to dive right into it. So question number 1 was all about, what's on your summer reading list, which was cool because I really don't have much on my summer reading list. I mean, I don't really have like a summer reading. My summer is different, but my summer actually gets, I think, crazier. But I do have a couple. I know I'm going to read Empower Our Girls from Adam, and I'm trying to think what the other ones are that I can't even think of what else is on my list. So I'm going to take some from this list because some people shouted out some big ones. So let me look here. So Laura Spencer just says so many books, so little time. She's just got this stack of books. I can't even see all of it, but The Innovator's DNA, Unlearn, Overwhelmed, The 10 Faces of Innovation, Very Principled. Jeremy Rankle says Kids Deserve It, Parkland, Empower Our Girls, just to name a few. Vic Nixon is getting into Get Better Faster, which is a 90-day plan for coaching new teachers. Vic's a school leader. I believe he's a principal, if I'm correct. So that's a good one for there. And then Sky Maze F3. She just put a whole bunch. I can't read all of them, but there's like just a stack. Any that are on your list, Chad? Any that you're gonna read or that you're into right now? Any books?
I'm gonna give like the 4th or 5th shout out to Adam Welcome. I'm gonna finish up Run Like a Pirate for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely want to check out Empower Our Girls. Maybe read that with my daughters. I think that would be really cool. After August, I'd love to read the Teach Better book that we're going to put out.
Yeah.
Although theoretically we've already read it since we made it. But
you'd think we'd know what was in there, but
I've read a lot recently, like in like sort of the running self improvement category.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a book called The Cool Impossible, which is about reaching impossible limits through like hard work and certain training, and it's focused on running, but I think it's applicable for other things. There's a great book called Born to Run about a culture of runners, and like I think running or biking or like any endurance sport, I think is a really good analogy for life.
Yeah,
right?
Agreed.
Like being able to push yourself physically and then more importantly mentally through those things is such an important thing, whether it's getting up to go to the gym for 20 minutes or whether it's running, a half marathon or full marathon or whatever it is, like there's a lot more mental focus that's required than physical focus. Now, physical is important, but like those physical things that you can build through some of the books that we just mentioned and that we've been talking about, those mental capacities that you're building can easily transfer into any part of your life. So it might make you a better teacher or a better runner or a healthier person or a better thinker or a more happy person. But all of those things can then directly transfer into these other aspects of your life, so you can overcome challenges and obstacles that much easier. So.
Yeah, and like we talk about that, and that just makes me think. Another shout out for Adam Welcome at his book Run Like a Pirate. That's what that was all about. The other one that I am going to get into that I forgot to mention is Hamish Brewer. His book just came out, Relentless, and that's I think going to be a special one. It's on its way to me right now from Amazon, so I'm excited to have that one come through. So let's look at question 2 was. Regardless of the subject you teach or your role in education, how are you encouraging those around you to write more? And I know we both mentioned, the fact that we've recently really made a strong push to bring more educators into our world on our Teach Better blog. And that's been amazing. The response we have for that is amazing. There's another, I think there's about 12 or 13 that haven't actually posted yet. Other educators that are now in that world, and it's really exciting. So, getting excited about all those coming. John Hayward, who's a great writer and author, said, sticking to my writing window mornings so I can stick to my other dedicated times, kids, cooking, cleaning, reading, etc. What I tell others who have more ideas than time to stay with is just write it down. So just constantly write it down. Yes, you, Katie. Jeff says, Master Chat Bro Twitter tonight. Yeah, we did. That's what we do, Jeff. And then Katie, we were already giving her a hard time on Twitter, waiting for her to finally get maybe her first post in. It only took her 4 months to apply for the conference. So I expect a blog anytime in 2020 from Katie. So that's me razzing her again. So some other ones here. Let's see what else I got here. Adam Mueller said, I try to write on my own blog. It seems I have 8 drafts started but unfinished. One day I'll find the right words. Now I'm in a thread right now based off of Adam's comment and a bunch of other ones, and I said, just publish it. Publish is better than perfect. And someone else asked, well, how do you trick yourself into believing that publish is better? And I said, it's not a trick. It's not about believing. It's a fact. Your published words, whether right or not, have the potential to make an impact. Unpublished words don't. It's just not. I mean, it's like trying anything, right? If you don't try, you are guaranteed to fail 100% of the time. But if you try, you have the potential to. So I'm hoping maybe he'll take those 8 drafts and push them up. Heck, if Adam's listening, man, he should come right with us. We'll take 6 of those 8 off him, right?
We'll click publish for him.
Yeah, we'll just take care of it for him. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'll finish it for him.
Something especially on something like a blog, you can always go back and edit it. Right. Yeah. So you might as well get your thoughts out and, obviously check for grammar and the basics, but it's never going to be perfect if you wait for it. Right.
That all comes down to it. That's all. It's this worry of what other people are going to think about you and placing too much on that. And we like to hide that under the guise of I'm a perfectionist or I want it to be just right. But the reality is we're worried. We're scared to put it out because we're afraid that it's going to be received poorly, that someone's going to say something bad or think that it's not good enough or not smart enough. I just had that going like crazy with this course that comes out tomorrow on social media. I'm still sitting here going, I don't know if I want to hit publish yet. I'm the one who has to do that tomorrow morning, and click it. I don't know if I'm going to do it because I'm like, well, what if it's not good enough? I don't think it's good enough.
I'm pretty sure you're going to do it.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to do it, but I'm just saying, I still have that going through my head. This is the first course that I led, so I get it completely.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. We're working on with teachers all the time, right? And they always are looking for that perfect storm for when to start the grid method, or when to try a teach further unit, or when to switch to standards-based grading. And the reality is it's never the perfect time. Sitting here and going, well, next year or after Christmas break or whenever the planets align and my kids are unicorns instead of children or something. I don't. No, this happens all the time, especially for teachers because they're looking for this perfect setup, these perfect scenarios to risk anything or to try something new. Or my favorite is like, well, I'll try that after testing. And that's one of my favorite things he just says, because it's like, so hold on, you're going to try innovative, engaging, better instruction after the assessment. So the entire reason you're doing those things is to improve instruction, to improve educational outcomes, and to improve student growth. But we're not going to try it until after it's already been measured, just in case. Just in case. And it goes back to exactly what you said. Trying is always going to be more effective than doing nothing or stagnating.
Well,
so whether it's a blog or posting or publishing a course or trying a new teaching method, like trying and failing is going to get you further than not doing anything at all.
The catch is trying and failing is scary. Not trying is easier.
It's safe.
It's safer. It's comfortable.
Yes,
and it's understandable. Like that's absolutely understandable. But
long term, what the fear should be is you never try anything, so you never get better, so you never improve. So the outcome is actually worse, exponentially worse, longitudinally or long term than it is in the short term. So that fear stops you from the short term risks or the short term things that you're thinking about doing as a teacher. But those long term deficits that are created then from not doing these things you know are best practices, or that you know are innovative, or that you know you can do, that's going to hurt your students more than failing one lesson and then improving on that the next day. So, and Ray just said boom. So that's, I guess I'm done.
All right. So question. Oh, here it is. Oh, I got some more coming in. Jeremy, I've always heard try, and if it doesn't work, ask for permission later when it does fail. Yeah. I mean, you just go get it done. Let's see. Katie says, yes, let's use best practices after the test. That drives me absolutely insane. Be innovative in the classroom. Take the risk. Do what's best for kids every day. Yeah, like write in a blog post for teachbetter.com, Katie, with all your amazingness in it so we can share that with the world. There you go. Firing right back at her. She's never getting away from that. All right. Question 4 was, speaking of time, what do you do to refresh and replenish? How do you take care of you? Which is what we talked about this too. So got a bunch of these. So Stephen Keys, who's been in Mastery Chat for like ever, I think, with us. I don't know if he misses any. Sometimes you just have to leave work at work. All that stuff will be there, and nothing is more important than family and yourself. You know, if daddy ain't happy, nobody's happy, he says. Let's see. Anastasia Armstrong, I think she must have maybe answered one, and then she came in. Then she said also bubble baths, reading books, shopping, binge watching Netflix, and singing and dancing like a crazy person in my car. All of those bring me joy. And I love Deb Aubin, I think is how you say her last name. She says, to refresh and replenish, I shop. A little known fact is that shopping is good exercise and takes your mind off everything else, with a crying, laughing face. I love the good exercise.
Yeah, I mean, those things are huge, though. I mean, those things that allow you. Sorry, I was reading Jeff Kaplan.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut you off and go to Kaplan's. That it took him 6 months to pull the trigger on it, and I was just down in his classroom last month, and it's amazing. So like, talk about the right move there. So I'm glad that he didn't put it off any further. Sorry. So self-care.
Okay.
Go on, self-care.
I will be interrupted by Jeff Kaplan anytime. Anytime. That's okay by me. That's okay. Totally.
So Chad, we know you and I do a lot of. We do. You've been running like crazy. We do a lot of workout and stuff like that. So, were there any other things that you saw that people were putting out outside of like the typical like cliche health stuff? If I run, I work out, I try to eat right. Like, what were some of the other things that you saw?
But I think there's a more important conversation here, not about like the what do you do, but what do you need to do as an individual?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, everyone's going to do different things, but I think the more important question is, are you giving yourself the time to experience those things? Because like, we can sit here and talk about 4 million things that are relaxing, but those are relaxing to us, right? I love a good run in the morning, but I know some people who would hate that a lot. Or me 3 years ago, but like
13 months ago,
like whatever. But seriously though, like that might not be relaxing for someone. Whereas maybe a hot cup of coffee on the patio and just getting up at the sun or reading a good book, like maybe that's what they need to do. But I think a more important conversation is like, how are you valuing yourself? Because, Chris McGraw had this quote, and we've heard it a lot from a lot of other people, but like, you can't pour from an empty vessel. You just can't. As an educator, as a parent, as a friend, as a colleague, as anyone, right? You can't ever pour from. So if you're not 100%, if you're not taking care of yourself, and you're not going to take care of others or lead others or help others at the same level that you want to. So like, what I talk to a lot of people about is like, structure the time to do those things so that you don't feel bad about doing them. Because I think one of the worst things that can happen, right, is that you feel bad about taking time for you because you're not lesson planning, you're not thinking about your students, or you're not thinking about your family, or you're maybe being with your family is that time, but like maybe you leave home to go on a walk by yourself, and that's how you clear your head. Like, so the thing is, like, scheduling that and then being okay with it, right? I think is the most important part, to say, hey, from this time to this time. So it's not even about, I'm going to leave all work at school and be home when I'm home. It's about, I'm going to be here when I decide I'm here. It's about that choice. And you've worked with me a lot about on this, about making those purposeful choices. And I know that's a little bit of Adam Welcome too, but it's like, you make those decisions purposeful. You make that choice to take care of yourself, and you commit to it so that you don't feel bad and you don't feel any negatives, because it's going to ruin your good time anyway.
Yeah. And I want to just because we're talking about this, it really makes a lot of sense, but about finding what makes sense for you. We actually talk about that in episode 74 of Teach Better Talk, which just came out with Mandy Freilich, which she talks about finding the self-care that makes sense for you. Like, what is it that makes the most sense for you? What makes you feel like you? So just a little shout out to Mandy that she knew what we were going to talk about, apparently. So anyway, good stuff. Let's talk about question number 5, which research shows that when you show gratitude to others, it increases your mood more than theirs. How can we show gratitude to someone this week? I saw a lot. I took a bunch of screenshots, and almost all of them are connected to like just like writing notes, leaving little sticky notes, writing handwritten letters, paying attention. A lot of people like basically kind of reflecting and saying, I haven't paid enough attention to, I haven't shown my principal enough love in the past. I haven't really stopped to thank my colleagues for being there. This just little things like that. Teresa Engler said she's a tech coach. So she said she had a little more time at the end of this year, because tech coaches are going to have a little more time at the end of the year than they do throughout the rest. So she just ducked into classrooms and did anything she could, brought them a snack, brought them a drink, went and got them coffee, helped take a little bit of time off and stuff like so. A lot of like sending cars.
Like
what's that?
Crew.
What's that?
You could be on to something there, like a teacher pit crew. Like, like when a boxer goes into a corner. Like,
we talked about, we talked. I can't remember who it was. Someone that we had on the podcast very early on. It may have been Todd, actually. Oddly enough, actually has a cart. I don't know if it's Todd or not. It was one of the admins, a principal that we had on the podcast. He or she, I can't remember who it was, has a cart that they literally take around, and it's like a teacher pit crew, like self-care cart that has like a whole variety of snacks, stuff like that they just take around a couple times throughout the week and deliver stuff to their staff. So Karen Warren said, after we drop our daughter off at camp this week, I plan to take my husband on a date to thank him for picking up the slack while I've this week, since I have needed a little bit of a break. So like little things like that, like how can we light people up? How can we show people gratitude? Chad, I actually got a very nice text. It's a text or a ping or something from you, I think, on either Sunday or Monday, just telling me that you appreciate the work that I put in for this team. And you and I don't stop very often to tell each other stuff like that. So like that meant a lot to me. I hope you felt good when you wrote it, because that's what Todd's talking about. But those little things like that goes a long ways for someone. So I think
it's also be enough to get you through. Like, I mean, it can be enough to get you through that difficult situation and that difficult mental state, or whatever it is.
Yeah, and with trying to finish up the course and stuff this week, it was a frustrating, or not frustrating, but stressful week for me already. There, my first course in the academy, and I was a little, I'm fighting my mental negativity on it and stuff. So that was a little extra boost for me. So. Question 6 was this was good. It was asking, what book do you feel everyone should read? What book changed your mind on something? What book broke your heart? Jennifer Wolf said, it's not an education book, but the novel Beloved by Toni Morrison was life-changing for me. Kim Darche, who, by the way, is coming out next week on the podcast, and it's fantastic. And she's actually going to be joining Ray on Monday morning in the private group for one of our free PD training sessions. And Kim's awesome. Her energy is just like, you can't escape it. Anyway, she said the first book that really made a difference in how I spoke with kiddos. And it's called How to Talk So Kids Will Listen, and How to Listen So Kids Will Talk. I don't know that book. She said an oldie but goodie. We'll have to look that one up. Matthew Borelli said for professional growth, Daring Greatly by Brene Brown, which Brene Brown's probably, like, her stuff is probably one of the most common things mentioned on the podcast when people are like looking at books and stuff. Just ahead, she's got some really great leadership stuff. For educational theory, he said Leverage Leadership, and for social justice, Stamped from the Beginning. What's a book in your mind, Chad, that you think everyone needs to read? Like, is there one that really like has changed the way you look at things or you think about things, or whether in education or in your personal life?
I tend to not think of like, oh man, I got to think through this now.
Oh, well, you think through. I'll share mine.
You share yours.
So the biggest one for me is The Go-Giver. With Bill Burr. And that's an oldie. I mean, I literally, you can.
There's a sign behind you.
You can see the sign back there, and I have another one right over there. So like I have 4 others that are hiding in the back room because they're really big and I don't have room on my wall. But that's one that just is sort of how I try to live my life. And a big one for me. Honestly, in my mind, I think Run Like a Pirate is at the same place. And I don't know if it was just the time in my life that I read it, but at the way Adam said the things that were in the book really changed the way I look at a lot of stuff. So anyway, that's my 2.
Yeah, I think Run Like a Pirate would be a great example. I'm going to steal that one from
you. Can't steal. That's not how this works.
So, it's weird. Like, a lot of the educational books I've learned that kind of transformed the way I think about things are super heavy, not fluffy at all. So, like, Thomas Guskey, like, making mastery learning work, or not making mastery learning work, but like, his work with mastery learning. Like, Marzano published some like research.
So, is there more research stuff that's
so I want to like be careful here though, because it wasn't reading those books alone that did those things. It was reading those books and then having the collegial conversations and these other conversations with things like, Teach Like a Pirate, or like these other less academic texts that when you put these two things together, so like there's this best practices. And there's this weird thing in my head where like I've never had a hard time taking that research or that really heavy work on standards-based grading or like whatever you're reading about in literature, and then going, oh, this is amazing. What this could do for kids, like this, that's, and then I can kind of make that leap. So like, so I think it's a mix of the two. So I think it's, in terms of like the motivation, the inspiration, I think I look more towards people. In terms of like the background, in terms of the background and the content and the like the meat on the bone, I really go to some more of those research based. There's some of those research based texts because I get a lot out of them. But I don't have any problem kind of taking those things and then applying them. I mean, like that's how we've done a lot of things.
All right. So last question was, Todd talked about his newest book, which is Sparks in the Dark, deals with building a love for reading and writing in all of us. And then he asked, how can you be a spark in someone's life this summer? How can you go above and beyond? And, obviously we saw, some good stuff. Just Anastasia said she has the opportunity to work summer school and just being a spark in the students there to help them learn, recover credits, build confidence, develop relationship. She said it's only 14 days, but if I'm intentional with them, I believe they'll be impactful days, which is awesome. Christine from Floop who, by the way, just came on as a sponsor for the 2019 Teach Better Conference. So shout out to Floop. Anyway, they're at Floop EDU. She said this summer I'm excited to be spending time with my dad as we each raise our new puppies. We've been reading a lot of training books, and I'm excited to us to learn this new skill together. That's a pretty cool thing to spend with your dad and stuff. Stephanie Dill, we're going to give a shout out to her because she says she starts her principal licensure program within the next 2 weeks. She said, I'm sure I will have many people around me helping to spark me. I hope I can be just as much of a spark to them. So if anybody wants to get on there, it's at Steph Dill92. Give her a little shout out, a little love, a little confidence to help her rock that out. And then Courtney Paul says I like this. She said it starts with your own attitude. If you are projecting happiness and joy in the world, it sparks others to see the joy in the world. And that is a big, big piece. It's just
100%.
Yes.
100%. I love that. I was actually going to say something like that, and then I just heard that she said it. So I'm a little jealous that it got said first, but that's okay. Because it's such a good point, it's worth saying again. And that is that, like, most of the time, the positivity that you're sharing or having, like, you don't realize the positive impact you're having on other people. So if every time you hear an excuse, you provide a solution, you become a solution-oriented person, you will train other people around you to be more solution-oriented.
Yeah.
If you take negativity and trade it for positivity when you're having conversations with people, naturally, like, that's kind of the kind of person you are, they will become more positive. If you do nice things and people see you, their day is going to get better. Have you ever smiled at someone and then seen them smile? Like it doesn't take a lot to spark positivity in someone else. It doesn't at all. And most of the time when you do it, you don't even realize it's happening. So I think like focusing on the inward you and being the best version of yourself and staying positive and not letting negativity get to you and staying solution oriented, all of those things inherently build positivity and spark positivity in other people without you really actively or explicitly going after it. And I think that's a really important point.
Yeah, and I think that you mentioned the smile. That's such a little thing that's actually massive, because if you think about how we typically go about our lives in public, it's we look down, we look away, we look up, we do anything to avoid eye contact.
Yeah.
Just a little smile, like I love like just getting a smile out, and then that person realizes that I am smiling at them, and they kind of give like there's a little shock at first, and they're like, oh yeah, I'll smile back, and then like I feel good because I'm like, oh good, they smiled, and then you just go on your about and you're like, that was great, like.
Yeah,
that I'm probably the first person to smile at them because they were the first person to smile at me too. Like it's just those little things. That's a way you can just be a spark every single day. So I love it. Great stuff. So before we jump off here and get going, I want to talk just really, really quick for anybody who is not aware yet. We've been talking about it all week, but we have a brand new course coming out tomorrow morning over at teachbetteracademy.com. It is free, so that's great. And it's my first course, so I'm super pumped up about it. It's my first one that I'm leading.
I am so proud of you.
Well, you haven't seen it yet, so don't be proud just yet. Like,
I don't care. It's
But it's called Social Media Basics for Teachers, and it really is the basics. So if you're a big social media person, honestly, this course probably isn't for you. This is for someone who's thinking about getting into a little bit of social media, or maybe is on social but isn't involved, hasn't done much with it, connected to education or even their personal or their professional life. And it really touches on the basics of the ways. The way I explain it is that it isn't a course about I have to be on social media or you need to use social media. Or you should be using social media. It isn't that at all. I'm not trying to convince you to use social media. Rather, all I'm trying to do is give you some ideas from some of the ways that we've seen teachers utilizing social media around the country when we worked, and some of the ideas that we see that have had positive results. And the hope is that maybe you'll think of some way that might make sense for you to utilize in your classroom. It's a very soft sell when it comes to utilizing social media. I'm very soft about it. I just sort of introduce the platforms that are out there, how we've seen them used. We talk a little bit about some of the do's and don'ts when it comes to like security and just being smart and privacy and stuff, and then touch a little bit on just sort of some of the questions and steps you need to take to put a plan in place to take it on. It's a short, easy course to go through, and it's 100% free. So like, I mean, you don't really have much to lose except for looking at my face for a little bit of it, but then my face isn't even on there. It slides, and that's just my voice. So like, it's like listening to the podcast. It's really not that big of a deal. I mean, what do you got to lose, right? So, and those who are fans of the podcast will love to know that in the module about Twitter, I make a really cheesy, typical Jeff on the podcast joke. So even if nothing else, it's worth just signing up to get that. And I think Ray will listen to it and then decide she doesn't want to be my co-host anymore. But anyway, it's coming out tomorrow morning. So if you already have the Academy. If you have the Academy membership, it'll show up in your My Courses dashboard tomorrow morning. If you don't, it's 100% free, and you're probably going to get an email from one of us tomorrow morning. We'll also be putting out on social media and stuff, so you'll be able to get it. It's a short and easy course. It's only 13 videos. A couple of them are a little longer than we normally do. They range between 3 and I think the longest one's actually like 8 minutes. But not a super long course. You can knock it out this weekend and hopefully spark some ideas and some planning that you can do to implement social media in your classroom. So super excited about that. There was one other thing I was going to say, and
Before you move on to the course, I just want to mention and give you some props in terms of where you're coming from this course, because you are specifically suited and with your expertise and background to create this course, because not only do you have a background in media marketing, social media, and all those strategies, so you fundamentally understand how all of the social media works at a very deep level. Chaplain. But you also fully understand how education works at that level, right? So yeah. You're not just like a classroom teacher that kind of used social media and it was cool, so now you're going to tell everybody about it. You fundamentally understand social media, how it can benefit a person in any organization, let alone a school. But you also fundamentally understand teaching and education from the amazing work we get to do every single day. And both of those things together, I think, create a uniquely suited expertise level that I think you're going to bring to this course and be able to share with anyone who takes the time to view it.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I noticed there were several times throughout the course that I reference either salespeople, marketing companies, brands, businesses, stuff, and the reason why like they're doing it and how it crosses over and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, we do that all the time, you and I, where there are so many times where we connect and we're like, oh, so this is where classrooms can learn from businesses or businesses can learn from classrooms. This is how they're exactly the same but different in all these little things. So yeah, so good point on that. I appreciate that. It's over at teachbetteracademy.com along with all the other free courses and everything that we have over there.
Get it.
And we will see you all next week back here on Mastery Chat. If you are in Indiana or close by, Ray and I will be at I Teach Tech on Tuesday, which is in somewhere in Indiana, in Woodburn, Indiana. Sorry, I Teach Tech. And then on Wednesday, we're back here. Ray's coming this way, and she and I are in Akron at their APS 3T or T3. I am horrible at this tonight. Conference in Akron Public Schools. And then the following week we're out. All of us are out at Summer Spark, and then you and I slide down from Summer Spark over to Richmond, Indiana for We Are Richmond. So a lot of exciting stuff coming up. We're super excited. And then there's that thing in November with the conference, but we'll talk about that later.
Right.
Teachbetterconference.com. Go. Anyway, Chad, thanks for coming on and hanging out and taking the earlier live because we had some technical difficulties, but we made it through this one. You guys are all awesome. We will see you next week. Thanks for being on Mastery Chat.